Welcome back to The Little Farm in the Forest. If you're new here, my name is Kate, and this is our weekly herbalism chat. And this is a series where I choose an herb, whether it's a spice or something that you may be able to get at a health food store or from an online store or even in the tea aisle at your local grocery store, and I teach you about the plant chemistry, how it's used modern day and historically, and we talk a little bit about how to incorporate it in your everyday life. And I hope it just makes the information a little more accessible to you and kind of eases any anxiety you may have if you're just getting started in herbalism or plant medicine, or you're trying to move to a more holistic approach to your health. So today we're talking about one of my favorite herbs, and that is going to be German chamomile, that is also known as Matricaria chamomile. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it is specifically German chamomile, not Roman chamomile. And chamomile is such an interesting plant because it has a very wide range of uses, both modern day and historically, but it is also kind of contraindicated for quite a few people. So I want to talk about a couple things with herbalism and contraindications while we work on our project today. And I'm going to reference this book, The Complete Guide to Herbal Medicine. This was written by two clinical pharmacists, and it will tell you any interactions that the herbs may have with any medications you may be on. And while chamomile is generally recognized as a very safe herb, if you have a ragweed allergy or a chrysanthemum or a daisy, anything in the daisy family, the Asteraceae family, chamomile may not be for you, especially if you know you have a topical reaction. You probably don't want to ingest it. And then if you're like me and you're a cardiac patient, you absolutely need to talk to your provider before you start this as any type of supplement, even just a simple cup of tea. There's some interesting literature in this book about cardiac patients. If you're on blood thinners, if you know you're going under for surgery, which I've personally had open heart surgery, and I have been cleared by my cardiologist to use this for my specific situation. I'm currently not on any medications, but something that is so innocuous and so common and easy to get, I thought it would be a good time to start talking about herbal safety in this video and just trying to keep some things in mind. Anything I teach you today is strictly not meant to diagnose or intended to treat or replace medical care. You need to do your own research and work with your healthcare team and your providers and make the best decisions for you and your health. I'm just going to show you how I make my chamomile tincture. So historically, chamomile is used for relieving colic in babies. It's an anti-anxiety. It's very good at calming you down. It's got a lot of aromatherapy benefits, and there's some promising literature for its use on eczema. And you might hear it called nature's Xanax. There is a little bit of truth to that because there is a constituent in the chamomile called apogin, I might be saying that wrong, but it does interact with those benzodiazepine receptors in our brain, and it can cause a little bit of a sedating effect, a little bit of a calming effect, especially whether you drink it in a cup of tea or you take a tincture. Now, a tincture is not going to be dosed the same as, say, a cup of tea a couple times a day. Tinctures are a concentrated extract. They're alcohol-based, and usually the dosage ranges from a few drops to a few milliliters, such as a teaspoon, which is about 5 milliliters. You need to do your own research on that. What I use chamomile mostly for is I use the tea. One, I just really like the flavor of it, but I use the tea for menstrual cramping and any type of muscle spasm I may be having. And then if I am having any vestibular issues, when like the barometric pressure drops and my migraines start coming on, I will kind of use the tincture because it's a little faster acting, and that kind of goes ahead and gets kind of the anxiety down for me so I don't get the vertigo attack. I will always have this on hand. It is great for the skin. Historically, it was used for conjunctivitis, so you might know that as pink eye. But again, if you have an allergy to the daisy family and you use this, you could make something worse because you're going to trigger your immune system and a histamine response. So that is something to keep in mind, and just a little bit of a precautionary tale there. So I'm not going to get into the math of tinctures today. I'm going to keep this very simple. There are certain herbs out there that when you go to tincture, you want to do a weight to volume calculation. Chamomile for me is I've done this plenty of times and I feel safe taking this. Again, you need to follow any instructions from your healthcare provider or functional medicine doctor, but I am just going to do a simple 1 cup of chamomile flowers to 4 cups of vodka. Since chamomile is a delicate flower, I'm just going to use 80 proof vodka. I don't feel the need to use anything higher proof, such as 100 proof or Everclear or something like that. I save that for really hard herbs, roots, barks, things like that. But I do find when I make this tincture, I get a better extraction when I kind of powder the herb. You don't have to do this step. Just remember to shake it every couple of days or so. If you don't have a mortar and pestle, that's fine. You can just blitz it through a blender. And again, you don't even have to do this step. This is just something I do because I feel like I get a better extraction. I can notice the effects a little better. Now I've taken chamomile enough to where I don't really get the sedative effects anymore, but I do, you know, I don't have much left. We're just gonna dump that in there. But I do get the calming effects. So I like to use it when I feel like I might have a panic attack coming on. I like to use it mixed with other herbs. If I'm having a hard time sleeping, I will mix the tincture with other herbs and either drop it in a cup of tea or just kind of some water and then chug it. And like my favorite herbs to combine chamomile with are other very calming and sedating herbs such as lemon balm and valerian root. And we'll do a different video on that on another day. For now, I just want to keep this very simple. All right, so I kind of have my flowers sort of crushed up, and we're just going to add that to our mason jar. This is kind of a combination of homegrown chamomile that I grew this year slash whatever I had from the store. So it's just kind of a fine little bit of powder now. And I'm just going to kind of get that right into my, I'm going to put it in the measuring cup to make it easier to pour. And then we're just going to pop it in the mason jar. Now the rule of thumb for tinctures is generally 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer depending on the type of material you're working with or if you're doing a double extraction. Again, because chamomile is such a delicate flower and I've kind of pulverized it into a powder, I feel comfortable doing this for about 6 weeks minimum. Some people will do as short as 4 weeks. Some people will do as long as 6 months. I'm just going to do probably 6 to 7 weeks, maybe 8 if I forget about it. So what I like to do with my tinctures is after I pour in the alcohol, I shake it up really well and then I stick it in a cabinet where I keep my coffee. That way, every morning when I get up to make my coffee, I see my tincture jars and I shake them up. You want to get the alcohol into the plant matter. Now, you don't have to use vodka. You can use, I've seen people use like brandy or whiskey. Spiced rum is a really popular one. For me, I just use the vodka because it's cheaper and you're generally taking such a small dose of this that you're not going to taste it or anything like that. If you can't use alcohol, you can make something called a glycerite. Whether you're making this maybe for your child, you need to check with your pediatrician. If you're pregnant, you need to check with your respective doctor regarding this. But you can use vegetable glycerin and you just do the same thing. Soak it 6 to 8 weeks. Remember to shake it. And that is an alternative if you can't use alcohol for whatever reason, if you're sensitive to it or just personal reasons. I don't have any vegetable glycerin on hand. I actually prefer glycerites more than tinctures because I do like the flavor of vegetable glycerin. It's a very syrupy, sugary, sweet flavor. And chamomile is also kind of sweet on its own. You know what? I probably won't be able to do 4 full cups. Let's go. I'm gonna do like 1 and That was 2 cups, so we'll do like 3 1/4. And I'm just gonna give this a really good shake. Make sure your ring is on because you don't want to shake this and it go everywhere. Here. And eventually what will happen is all these flower petals and stuff will settle. And then just every morning, wake up and give it a little shake. Because this isn't clear glass, I put it in a cabinet. That way the light doesn't affect it. And then you want to store your tinctures in amber bottles. So you want to store them in amber bottles or the cobalt blue bottles. That is so light doesn't start to degrade it. So in 6 to 8 weeks, I will pull this out and I will strain it into these bottles. So one of my New Year's resolutions was to really incorporate some more tinctures into my daily life. And I'm working really hard to get off some OCD medication that I've been on for years. And I think that the chamomile with the anxiety and calming effects would be really beneficial for me. And so I'm working with the therapist and that's what I'm trying to do now. And I don't really have too many other resolutions. I don't make a lot. I just kind of keep like a little bit of an idea, a running task list in my head of things I want to improve. But we have market season coming up. We are applying for our first market, hoping to get a booth and accepted. So if you're in the southern Indiana area, we are hoping to start offering produce this summer as well, like locally grown heirloom produce and plant starts. We will be doing both heirloom vegetable plant starts and a few native plant starts. And then I hope to be able to meet some of you guys. So I'm hoping that this tincture will be there for me on high stress days, whenever the world just feels a little overwhelming. So I will see you guys for the next video. I hope this was a little bit informative for you. And if you, again, have any other requests regarding herbs, let me know. But I'll see you guys for the next video. And thanks for hanging with me today. Bye.